Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. Now, this is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week, and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. A couple of things, if you've never seen a Q&A before, first of all, these are spontaneous answers. I have not done any research into this. I haven't even looked at the questions, so you're getting my kind of off-the-cuff opinion on this. If I think a question is kind of a good question for a longer video, I will get to that at some point in the next few weeks. Secondly, you want to try and get your questions in, ideally by a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I try to film these on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, so it's normally best to get them in by then, else I'll miss it. If I do miss the question, I'm very sorry, I'll get to it the following week. This week, I'm actually filming it on Friday morning. I've had an absolutely manic week. Wednesday, I spent all day doing one-to-ones with the gold members in the Netrix through to 1:30 in the morning. Then Thursday, I was over at Smoke and Mirrors in Bristol filming 2 projects with Mark Bennett. And then I was performing in Bristol in the evening. And now it's this morning, and I'm doing this before I go in the office. And then I'm up to the House of Secrets where Ryland is performing tonight. So there you go, busy week. But normally it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Anyway, with that all being said, it's time to do this. So this is time. So we're going to be looking. It's been a long week. It's time to do the Q&A. So here we go with the first question. Okay, so the first question is from Stedman, who says, Stedman99, who says, "Hi Craig, I'd love you to do a review show special on Paul Richards. I know you can only get his stuff at conventions, but maybe you have a few of his tricks or even a talk magic with him. I would love to. Big Paul Stevens fan. Don't even know how to contact him. Is he on Facebook? I don't know why I've never thought about doing anything on him. But it's such a really good idea. Leave that with me, and I'll definitely try and arrange a talk magic or, you know, a review show special or something, or maybe a 5x5 performer spotlight or something like that. But yeah, absolutely. Great shout. I will get to that as soon as possible. Okay, so the next question is from user XU2LL7JX9S. That rolls off the tongue. Answer the question, please. With all the haters, are you worried about your safety or the safety of your family? I don't know if this is. I don't know if this is somebody who's just trolling me. To be perfectly honest, normally when people say that, it's because they're trying to get to me. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if this is a sincere question. I can see that you've never asked a question on this channel before, so it's a very strange one to lead with. But I'm gonna assume that you're being serious, and the answer is very simply no. First of all, yeah, there are haters out there. There's haters for everybody. You can't get to kind of a position where, you know, a lot of people know who you are without annoying a certain percentage of the people that watch you. It's just as simple as that. You know, I've talked about this before on the channel, but my business mentor, Brad Burton, I was really struggling with kind of online comments a while ago. And I spoke to Brad about it, and he said, look, make a list of all of the reasons people like you. And I did. And then he said, now make a list of all of the reasons people don't like you. And it was the same list. The people who like me, that listen to my content, that find it valuable, that message me, they're the same people. Those same reasons that they like me are the same reasons why people don't like me. So if I try to change to appease a small vocal group of people, then what's going to happen is I'm just going to alienate the people who've supported me from day one. So in answer to your question, there's a very small group of people that don't like me. That's fine. It's their prerogative. If they want to spend time trolling me on the internet, let them do it. But I'll tell you right now, I have never, and I mean never, had anyone come up to me at a magic convention. I'm a big guy. You can see where I am. You know where I am. I'm right here. I've never had any of these people that have ever said anything online. They've never come up to me at a magic convention. They've never said anything. In fact, a couple of years ago when I was at Blackpool and a load of people were saying stuff about Ryland behind my back on a TV screen during the Beat the One competition, and they were saying the meanest stuff. When I found out about it the next day, I literally ran around the whole convention for a whole day asking people who said it. I spoke to Sam, who runs Beat the Wand, and I asked him for a list of the text messages. I wanted phone numbers to call them. I spoke to the organisers. I did everything in my power to try and find out who those people were. And I made it very clear at that convention, very, very clear, that I wanted to have a conversation with anybody who decided to slag off a 9-year-old behind my back, and not a single person came forward, because the bottom line is pretty much anybody who is the type of person to make little comments online, whether it be on the Magic Cafe or on Facebook or something like that, normally they ain't got the stones to back it up. That's just a fact. You know, they're not going to be the sort of person. So am I scared that a magician is going to come up to you at a magic convention and hurt me? No, because anybody who's the type of person that would do that, they get their kicks by doing that online, and they would never come up to me in person and say anything. So, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay, so the next question is from Sean McNulty Magician, who says, what can you do if you want to work under Slightly Unusual as a magician? And the answer is, drop us an email, send an email to Slightly Unusual, info@slightlyunusual.co.uk. There's a bit of a process, because I handle all of the recruitment myself, and I'm not always in the office every single day. But send an email that will then get passed from my team over to me, and I'll have a conversation with you at some point. You know, we don't really need anybody at the moment, but we are expanding. I had a conversation with the guys that run my online ads, and we've just tripled the ad budget as of October. And we're pretty much where we were pre-COVID, just slightly over, with a view to double that in the next sort of year. So we're in a good place, and we will need to be recruiting for more magicians soon. So the best thing to do is send an email, but you might not get a reply straight away, because what we don't want to do is bring somebody on board when we don't need you, because it's not fair on you. It's not fair to have somebody go, yeah, you're in Slightly Unusual, and then we never give you a gig. So we'd like to be in a situation where we're kind of almost like at the verge of being oversubscribed with the people that we have at the moment, and then we'll kind of bring new people in. But if you give us that email, and even if we're not at that position just yet, we'll hold it on file for when we are. Okay, so the next question is again from Sean McNulty Magician, who says, looking at putting Cube 52 into my act, what other tricks could work along it to create a good routine? Well, the cool thing about Cube 52 is it kind of bridges card tricks and cube tricks, right? So what other tricks could you do to create a good routine? Well, first of all, you could do like a half an hour act just with a cube and Cube 52, right? But if you were wanting to, you know, transition, maybe if you wanted to go from card magic into cube magic, as you know, there's a routine on the Cube 52, which is a card revelation. So you could start off with a deck of cards, do some card routines, and then you could be in a situation where you use the cubes in order to reveal the card that they've picked. You've then got the cube in play. You could then do some stuff with just a cube, and then you could bring the deck of cards in play, the Cube 52 deck, and you could do some stuff with Cube 52. Now, one thing that since the project came out, one thing that I've been playing around with, which is working really well, is doing a color change from a regular deck of cards into a Cube 52 deck. So I've got a Cube 52 deck with a card on the face, a regular bicycle card on the face, and a regular bicycle card on top. So I start with that card revelation, which is on the project. So I have a card. I've been doing a couple of card tricks. The spectator's been handling them. I have them pick a card, but I force the card that I need to force, as in the routine. While they're showing it around, I then do a deck switch. So I then switch the deck for the Cube 52 deck, but you can't tell. It looks like the same deck because from the top and the bottom it looks like a bicycle deck, right? No, the latest handling of this, there's no card at the bottom, but there is at the top. So I've got a card on top, right? So all I do is I take their card back and I put it into the middle of the deck, so it looks like it's lost, and I put the deck here. And then I do the Cube 52 revelation of the playing card with the two cubes, put that to one side, and then I come back to the deck. I do an Erdnase change, changing the top, so it looks like a rider back, and you do an Erdnase change and it will change it into a Cube 52 back, which allows me to then spread through and show that all the backs of the cards have changed except for one in the middle. I slide that card out. I can then turn the cards over and spread them face up and show that all of the cards are now cube cards, and the one card that's left in there is the card that they picked. And the nice thing is, with the cards face up, if I double undercut the bottom card to the top, I can cop that bottom card away, which is the only rider-back card in the deck, and I'm left with the Cube 52 deck to go into anything else that you want to go into. So that might be something you want to try as well. Okay, so the next question is from Andy Put 94, who says, at the end of the year, you always do a best 10 tricks of the year list. Yes, I do. Can you also do a 10 tricks of the year according to the Watchers of Magic TV list this year? That you select one video where we can comment on our top 3 tricks of 2023, where you can make a video and compare it with your top 10. I know it's a lot of administration, but you can do it, or let Jack count the comments. I think that's a brilliant idea. I love that idea. I really, really do. I think that's super smart. Having a top 10 list as voted for by the viewers of Magic TV. I think that's a really clever idea, Andy. I love that. And yeah, Jack could do that very, very easily. Jack's got spreadsheets on top of spreadsheets on top of spreadsheets. He's one of the most organized people I know. So yeah, 100% I'm going to do that. And thank you so much for the idea. Another question from Andy Put Magic, who says, I know the Nightshade coin set will be coming out before the holidays, but can you tell me what kind of gimmicks or routines we can expect? From what I understand, you have 3,548,987 routines on there. So if you spill 3 or 5 of them, there's still plenty of surprises left. Yeah, I can't really tell you what the gimmicks are. Alakazam would kill me. I tend not to talk about my releases before they come out anyway. But the Nightshade coin set is a little bit like the Mirage coin set in that it came out many, many years ago. Like, many years ago. So it came out, I think it was the year after the original Mirage set. So it was about maybe 11 years ago or something like that. I remember I released it at Lads one year. And this is a massive, massive, massive update. Things that I can tell you is this is going to be the first time ever it's going to be a coin set that Alakazam on launch will offer in $half and dollar size. I kind of insisted on that with Pete because the original Nightshade was just $half. And I prefer dollars a lot of the time. So, for me, dollars work better. But I know for a lot of people like Ryland, $half work better. So it's up to each individual. But yeah, so there's that. I can tell you that Mirage, a lot of the routines with Mirage were down here. Because of the gimmicks that are in play, a lot of the magic is happening kind of here, so people look down, makes it perfect for walk around, right? Now there are routines like that in the Nightshade set, but a lot of them bring the magic up here. So think 3-fly, but not just 3-fly. I'm talking about my favorite routine on there, or one of my favorite routines, is a copper-silver routine, where you show a copper coin, a silver coin, you have them examined, you show them very cleanly, both sides, nothing else in your hands, and then you do a 12-phase routine where these coins are changing places over and over and over again. They're jumping from one hand to the other, and it's all happening up here, which is great. There's an awesome version of hopping halves that doesn't involve like multiple shells. You know that hopping halves has shell after shell that ends up in your pocket. That's not the case with this, and it's as strong, if not stronger, than the original hopping halves because of the construction of the routine. There's my version of 3-fly. There's something called Night Worker, which is a really, really cool version of, if you've seen my Penguin Live, I put something on there called Triple Threat. It's an easier version of Triple Threat. It's called Night Worker, a completely different gimmicks to what Triple Threat uses, and it's super visual, and again, it's all up here. One of my favourite routines is Shades of Imagination. Now, Shades of Imagination is something I used back in the day to win lots of competitions, and what it is basically is you bring out an invisible purse, and you say, and your hands are empty, sleeves rolled up, you got nothing, right? You're an invisible purse, and you say, inside this purse, I've got a copper coin, a silver coin, and a Chinese coin, and you take these 3 invisible coins out, and you tell them to pick one up and put it inside the purse, which they do, and you put the purse to one side. Let's say they put the Chinese coin in there. You then take the silver coin, and you literally just pick it up. Your hands are empty, remember, you pick it up and do this, and it becomes real. And then you say it's all about using your imagination. You can see the coin, and then you literally take it, and it becomes invisible, and you show your hands empty and you put it down. Then you take the copper coin, hands empty, boom, copper coin appears. And you show it, and then it vanishes. Then you pick them, your hands are empty, and you pick both up, and they both become real, the copper and the silver, and you put them back down. And then remember, your hands are empty. This bit, when I did this in the live performances at Houdini's, like I had a big group around me and they just screamed. Your hand empty, you just reach forward for the purse that was on the table. You pick it up, and as you do, it turns into like an apparition style coin purse, and you just show it. So good. And then you get them to open it, and inside there is the Chinese coin. I love that. It's called Shades of Imagination. There's my version of the portable hole routine on there. My version of the portable hole that doesn't require any lapping. You can do it stand up. You're not having to do the kick move underneath the portable hole, the felt hole, which I know a lot of people have trouble with. None of that. It's a very practical portable hole with a jumbo coin finale that's just killer. I think there's about 60 routines altogether. I think that when I last spoke to Pete about the edit, it's about 8 hours long, and I love it. It's great. It's really a great addition to the Elite coin range from Alakazam. So that's all I can tell you. But it's definitely coming before the end of the year. Okay, so the next question is from Reese Whitehead, who says, hi Craig, you mentioned before that Ryland plays the drums. What are the chances if you put a video of him playing the drums? Yeah, if you want to. I mean, this is a magic channel, so it's not a drumming channel, but yeah, I could put a couple of videos on. He started doing drums at the age of like 4, I think it was, and we got 2 drum kits. We got a big one down at the bottom of the garden where he can make as much noise as he wants, and then we've got another one in his bedroom, and it's all electronic, so he doesn't deafen the whole place. So yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, 100%. And you say, see you at the House of Secrets on Saturday. Dude, awesome. Looking forward to it. Yeah, come say hi, and I'll show you some magic, and we can heckle Ryland together. Okay, so the next question is Matthew Weenel. Hi Craig, do you know where to start to learn a Snowstorm routine? Where can it be purchased? Also, do you need an expensive machine to perform it? Thank you so much. You don't need an expensive machine. So in my warehouse, I've got a snow animator. And so the original Snowstorm originally, and a lot of people do it like this. Snowstorm originally was done with a fan, right? So you take a fan and you wave the fan, and as you do, the snow is appearing, and it's the fan that's causing the air that makes all of the snow go everywhere. And it's very, very practical. You didn't need anything else. You just needed a fan. And look, there's many different ways of doing it, but in essence, what you're doing is you're taking some paper and you're switching it for a snowstorm sort of pellet. Now, snowstorm pellets, the best place to get them from are SEO Magic. So if you go to SEO Magic, they do small, they do medium, they do large. Ryland does Snowstorm in his act, and I've looked at all of the various different Snowstorm pellets. The best ones we've ever found are at SEO Magic. And I believe they have downloads there on how to do it. But in essence, it's, there's a lot of different ways of doing it, and lots of different people have different handlings. But in essence, let's say you take a napkin. You're cutting that napkin up, making what looks like a snowflake. At some point, you're stealing the pellet, and you're taking the snowflake and you're switching it. Maybe you're ditching the napkin as you get the fan, and then as you wave the fan, you're slowly crumbling the snow pellet so the snow goes everywhere. Now, the more advanced version of that is the snow animator. Kevin James brought out the snow animator many years ago now, and I think there's been 4 or 5 versions. I think I've got version 3. And basically it's a stool. Well, there's different ways of doing it, but the one I've got, it's a stool, right? And the stool is electronic, and you can activate it whenever you want to. But when you sit on the stool, it blows like wind really, really hard. And so when you've got the snowstorm thing, you do this, and it blows the pellets up in the air. So it doesn't look like you're using a fan, you're literally just doing this. So when you see people sort of sitting on a stool and they've got no fan and they're just doing this and the snow's going everywhere, they're probably using a Kevin James snow animator to make the snow go upwards. And because there's music playing and because it's a specially made gimmick, you don't hear the noise of the air blowing the snow up in the air. And then if you're doing this in a really big production, you've probably got snow cannons that are dropping snow at the same time over the audience to make it look even bigger, which is what Kevin James did at Blackpool in the gala show in 2023. So there you go. That's the various different versions. You can get really expensive with them and buy snow animators, but the cheapest way, and the way that Ryland does it in his show, is just with a fan and with a snowstorm pellet, and you can get that very cheaply. Okay, so the next question is from Jan Vollerberg, who says, first, thanks for Cube 52. I really love it. Thank you very much. My question, I'm busy making a comedy magic show, and I want to end with a confabulation effect. Is it the best way to force everything, or is it better to put in some free choice and then using a multiple out for the reveal? I recently bought the Amaze Box and I really want to use it. Yeah, well, Amaze Box is a great tool to use in confabulation. The confabulation routine I use, well, honestly, generally I use the master prediction system, which is 100% free choice, but that's a difficult thing to stage. You have to make sure you've got an assistant backstage. Yeah, you have to have, quite an expensive prop. You have to have wings. You need to do it in a place where there's going to be an assistant off to one side. There's a lot going on there. The one that I use when I'm doing sort of a one-person show is No Brainer. And you can see my performance of No Brainer if you go and watch, I put a video up a little while ago, how to run an awesome parlor show or something like that. And I put a route, I did a full, you saw my full parlor show at the time, and then I broke it down. In there, I did No Brainer. So No Brainer is by Bill Abbott. You can get it from Bill Abbott. And it's a way of doing a confabulation that some of the decisions are forced, but some of the decisions are free choices. And my routine that I use, which is a comedy-based routine, is all about bringing a spectator up on stage and sending him on a blind date. So you send this spectator on a blind date and he makes various different choices. Some of the choices are free choices. Some of the choices are forced. You're going to see in that routine, if you go and watch it, that I use a Sven pad for one of the decisions as to where he's going to be going on his date. But some of them are free choices, and the methods cancel each other out. No Brainer is very practical because you have this envelope on stage for the entire time, and you ask all these questions, and you get to the point where at the end, you just open up the envelope and you've got this massive piece of paper that when you take it out, it's kind of predicted every choice that they made. And you can literally change it around to everything. So I use a blind date presentation, but there's a million different ways you can do it. So I would suggest, if you're serious about putting a confabulation into your act, I would use No Brainer. And you can use the Amaze Box with No Brainer. Just like I chose to use the Sven pad, you could use the Amaze Box if you want to. So go check it out. It's called No Brainer and it's by Bill Abbott. Okay, so the next question is from Danny Marco, and he says, not a question, but a petition, 5x5 or interview with Kenton Knepper. Good shout. I've been wanting to interview Kenton for a while, and I keep kind of thinking I need to do it and then kind of putting myself off it because he's like a really big name. And honestly, I think I'm a little bit nervous about actually even speaking to him. But I'm gonna push through, and I'm gonna arrange that. So yeah, thanks for the shout, Danny. I'll get onto that. Okay, so the next question is from Jim, who says, I always have a question to the spectator planned in my routine if I want to palm a card. An additional tip is when you're performing for multiple people, ask the question to a spectator that doesn't select the card and isn't directly in front of you. The audience will follow your gaze up and over to them, and then you look at the person who's answering, which gives you just a bit of extra time to palm. Great shout. This is a callback to a question I had last week about palming and misdirection, and Jim is 100% correct. Thank you, Jim, for that. You are right. Okay, so the next question is from Michael Warsham, who says, hi Craig, how does the new POW, Perfect Oil and Water, routine compare to the older and similar peanut butter and cheese routine? Which is better and which do you prefer? Thanks. Well, what was really funny is I was working with the Penguin booth when POW came out, and Josh Birch was with me, who's the creator of peanut butter and cheese, and I was ribbing him saying, hey, you haven't got the best oil and water anymore, somebody's beat you to it, ha 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 ha. In reality, they're both great. I think they're two of the best oil and waters, gimmicked oil and waters that you could ever find. Now, the POW routine, I think is better if you're going to be, it's better as an opener. It's better as well in terms of it's up here. So I was performing 3 nights ago now, and it was banquet tables, big banquet tables. And I was using POW for that. I was like, hey, my name's Craig, I'm a magician, I'm going to show you some magic. Very simple, can you see the 6 cards? You can, fantastic. Everybody look at the 6 cards because this, boom, you're into it. It's over in like 30, 45 seconds. It establishes credibility and the magic's happening up here. Perfect Oil and Water is perfect for that. Also, if you use glasses and you want to have it up here for a stage or a parlor performance, that's great. I think where peanut butter and cheese is better is if you're sitting down with the spectators, maybe it's a table hopping gig, like in a restaurant or something, and because it's a more rounded routine. There's multiple phases where things are happening and different handlings and so on and so forth. So I think if you've got the audience's attention already and maybe you've done some stuff and they've really bought into it, that's when peanut butter and cheese shines. And I think at that point, it then becomes better than perfect oil and water. But I think as an opener, which is where I'm using it at the moment, perfect oil and water is the best option. Okay, so the next question is from Elkey2792, who says, hey Craig, what's the most difficult, as in longest time to learn, least consistent, etc., sleight that you regularly use in your performance routines? I find that I love learning really tricky stuff, particularly with coins, but then I don't have anything to do with it. So with cards, the trickiest sleight that I ever learned would have to, it's not really a sleight, but it was the one-handed shuffle. I spent probably about 3 years trying and failing to do the one-handed shuffle, and I really wanted to do it because I'm not a flourisher. I'm never going to be a flourisher, but I did want to do something that established credibility and showed that I was really good with the deck of cards that didn't look too show-offy. And I thought it'd be amazing to be able to just, you know, as I'm talking to the audience, do this one-handed shuffle. And I was right. It's an amazing sleight. I'm so glad I learned it. I do it all of the time. The one-handed shuffle is fantastic, but it did take me a very long time to do it. With coins, I would say it was probably the Silent Steel by Derek Dingle. A lot of people don't know about that sleight, but the Silent Steel by Derek Dingle is an incredible move. In essence, you're taking 3 coins, putting them into your hand, waving your hand over, and then they've vanished. And they end up in classic palm in this hand. And you're silently maneuvering them from here, stealing them out into demonstratory grip, and then silently moving them into classic palm. When I'm doing stuff with half dollars, because dollars are too big to do this sleight, but when I'm using half dollars and I'm using 3 coins and I want to do a 3-coin vanish, it's probably my favorite 3-coin vanish to do with 3 half dollars if I want to make them all go at the same time. But it was a very tricky move. I remember reading it in Dingle's Deceptions and thinking, that ain't happening. There's no way I'm going to be able to do that. And it took me a long time, but I got to a point where I can do it really, really well. And I do it an awful lot, especially walk around. I was doing walk around last night for a couple of hours, and I always have 3 half dollars with me when I'm doing walk around. And I did it quite a few times last night. It's just a great sleight. It's very not the easiest sleight to learn by any stretch of the imagination, but very adaptable and very practical when you have got it down. Okay, so the next question is again from Elkey2792, who says, I've been rewatching your How to Pitch Magic Companies video a lot lately. Thanks for making it. You're more than welcome. I was wondering if it'd be possible to show one of the pitch videos for your products to give us an idea how one is supposed to flow. I understand if not, it's just an idea. Absolutely, yeah. I'll do a video on that in the next couple of weeks. I've got all of the old pitch videos somewhere. So yes, absolutely, 100%. I will find that out. Maybe I'll do a couple. Maybe I'll do a couple of pitch videos and show you guys what I actually sent to try and sell that product. Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Leave it with me and I'll do a video on that. No problem at all. So Divishan Magician says, hi Craig. Hi Divishan. Can you do a video on how to sell yourself at wedding fairs? I don't really do these sort of videos very often on the channel. I am doing a video on how to sell yourself at wedding fairs. It's a very long video. It's probably going to be about 5 hours long, and it's going up in the next couple of weeks on the silver level of the Netrix, because when I do because a lot of people don't want to see that sort of stuff, right? So that's why I developed the Netrix, so that all of my business advice and stuff like that I can kind of slot neatly into there. And I've got a really long video up there on how to actually pitch yourself to a restaurant, and this is kind of the follow-up on wedding fair. So I am actually doing one on that, and it is going up soon, but it'll be on the silver level of the Netrix. Okay, so the next question is from Jap of Spades. Okay, how you doing? Love your videos, Craig. I have a question. What advice can you give to a full-time magician regarding tax advantages? What to keep track of, like expenses and profits, bookkeeping, basically, and also using your vehicle as a business vehicle and all of that. I hope that makes sense. Thanks in advance. Keep it real. The biggest piece of advice I can give you is be organized with all of this. And if you're not organized with it, outsource it. So I've got a friend who is terrible at money management, like the worst you could possibly imagine when it comes to money management, and is constantly broke and never has the money in January to pay his tax bill and always has to scrape around. And he does lots of gigs, and he does his well-paid gigs, but he just can't manage money. The biggest piece of advice I can give you is to be organized with all of this. Be super organized, because if you leave it a couple of days, it's just going to go all tits up. So when you go, if you've got something that you think you can claim as a business expense, put it down on a spreadsheet, put it somewhere, be organized with all of this stuff, and also outsource. Outsource your stuff to an accountant or a bookkeeper or something like that. And a lot of people say to me, well, you know what? I can't afford a bookkeeper. I can't afford an accountant. And I say, well, you can't not afford a bookkeeper and an accountant, because ultimately, at the end of the day, a good accountant will save you money and tell you what you can actually do, what tax breaks and tax advantages you will be able to claim, because it's all very much dependent on different businesses. A good accountant will pay for themselves and then some. And my accountant is absolutely amazing, and we've used him for many, many years. But yeah, keep track of everything. I mean, the other advice that I can give you, that I always give to full-time pros, is start to treat your business like a business. And what I mean by that is, if you're a full-time magician, stop with the whole, what I make at a gig is that's my money, blah, 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 blah. That's the wrong way to do it. I see so many people that are just like, they're broke in January because they've had January and February, they're broke because they've had a really good December, but there's less gigs in January and February, and they've had to pay their tax bill, and so they've got no money. And then, if they've got a quiet month, they can't pay their rent or their mortgage. And then when they have a really busy month, they end up blowing that money. The best advice that I can give you is set up a business bank account and have everything go into that business bank account. Absolutely everything. Any money that you make goes into that business bank account, and then pay yourself a wage. Figure out what you need to live on. Figure out what you need based on your expenses and your household expenses and everything. And, it's individuals in different, but figure out what you need as a wage and pay yourself that wage every single month. So in December, you might be having a cracking month, but you're getting paid the same in December as you are in February. So you're not going to be broke in February and then have, ridiculous amounts of money in December. Now, if you're making tons of money as a company, you can pay yourself a bonus in December. Absolutely. At the end of the month, year, you look at where you are and you go, you know what, I'm going to pay $5,000 to myself because I've had a really good year. Expanding on that, then the other piece of advice I would give you is to set budgets. So, a lot of business owners, small business owners and magicians, what they'll do is they'll make decisions on how much they're spending in their business on a case-by-case basis. So if somebody says, hey, would you like to advertise and do this? You go, yeah. Set yourself marketing budgets. So, hey, I'm going to spend this much on marketing every single month. Set yourself budgets for absolutely everything and stick to those budgets, and track all of your income. Track all of your numbers. Track the turnover, track the profit, track the wages, track everything, because those numbers are going to help you work out what's happening on a year-by-year basis. So if you know you have a quiet time in one particular year, you know that that's probably going to be the same case again, so you can plan for it by increasing the marketing beforehand, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I mean, get an accountant when it comes to learning about tax advantages, because I'm not an accountant. I don't know anything about accounting. I outsource everything to the admin team in my office, who then liaise to the accountants. I don't have anything to do with that, nothing to do with it. But from a business point of view, be more organized, outsource the second that you can, and try to take it seriously and pay yourself a wage instead of doing it the other way around. Okay, so the next question is from Archie Cox, who says, hi Craig, lovely to meet you at the YMC on Saturday. Ryland's close-up act was awesome. Thank you, Matt. It was great to meet you as well, and I'm sure Ryland will be glad about that. He worked really hard on that act. My question is, after learning a trick, when is the right time to show people after practicing a new trick? The answer is whenever you feel ready. And sometimes that's going to mean that you have to push yourself out your comfort zone. I've spoken to so many magicians who will go to a gig, and when they get to, they've bought this new trick at Blackpool, they love it. They've spent a couple of weeks practicing it. They've scripted it. They know exactly what they're going to say, and they put it in their close-up bag to take to a gig, and then they get to the gig and they don't take it out because they're like nervous. It's like, oh, this is a really important gig. I better stick to the stuff I'm good at. And that happens at every single gig. And then eventually they kind of take it out of the case, they put him in the bottom drawer and they never do anything with it, despite the fact that they wanted to, because it's really difficult to put a new trick in your show. Kids entertainers do the same. Stage magicians do the same. I force Ryland to put new stuff into his show. If he likes a trick, I'm like, okay, you can get it, but only if you put it in your show. Only if you put it in your close-up set. So, you know, you will know when that trick's ready. When it's ready, maybe show it to somebody you can trust. Ryland shows a lot of his tricks to his sister. When he, you know, so find someone you can trust. Then once you've shown it to those people, expand a bit and show it to other people, and then take it to the gig and push yourself. Don't take 10 new tricks and try to do all of them. Take one trick and say to yourself, I'm going to do this trick at least 3 times tonight. Because the only way that that trick is going to get worked in is through flight time. And every trick that you do right now, at one point you didn't do that trick. And it became part of your act because you had the guts to go out and do it, and you got good reactions and you've kept it in your set. You just have to replicate that and do it again and again and again. And it's difficult sometimes, but push yourself out of your comfort zone. What's the worst thing that can happen? You know, I've talked about risk before. This is an element of risk. Why do people not put new tricks into their act? Because it's a risk, right? It might go wrong. Anytime you have a risk and you have a decision to make that involves a risk, ask yourself a question. If you take that risk, what's the best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? And what's the most likely scenario? And if you like what the likely scenario would be and you can live with the worst case scenario, then do it. So in terms of a trick, best case scenario is you've got a brand new trick in your show that's awesome, that's one of the best tricks that you do. What's the worst case scenario? You show it to somebody, you mess it up and you look a bit silly. What's the most likely scenario? You do the trick and it goes well, but you can see how you can improve it a little bit, which is fine because then you improve it and you do it again and do it again. Worst case scenario, you look a bit silly. Who cares? You're never going to see those people again. My attitude is very simple. If I mess up, oh well, because, you know, I'd rather mess up and be in a situation where I'm constantly revitalizing myself than just growing stagnant and just growing stale because I'm doing the same thing over and over again. So hopefully, Archie, that makes sense. But if you have any other questions, let me know down below. Okay, so the next question is from Avatar Barzilay, who says, holy crap, what are your 10 favorite rubber band tricks? I'm not going to do this now. I should do a video on this. Off the top of my head, I love Rubber Ringer, Michael Lamar's version especially. I like the thing that Alan Ronson did with the key and the rubber band. I thought that was great. Rubber Fly by Russell Leeds is really awesome. Diffusion by Russell Leeds is really awesome. Both of those tricks are really good. The Thing by Rubber Exchange by Joe Rhinefleece is really good. Joe's version of Linking Rubber Bands is really good. The original Dan Harlan Traveling Cash, not the new version, but the original Dan Harlan Traveling Cash is great. A trick by the other brothers with a sponge, elastic band that they hold and you make one vanish and it appears over there. That's really good. Hard Stretch by Roman Armstrong is really good. There you go. There's a few. I'll do a video on this, but there's a few off the top of my head. Another question by Avatar Barzilay, which is, hi Craig, with a man with a lot of tattoos, what are some of the tattoos you regret getting and what are your favourite ones? I don't regret any of them. I think they're great. I don't regret any of them. If I did, I wouldn't have them. I even love the whole Luke Dancy. I love Luke Dancy, which is just amazing. I love that tattoo. It's the story, right? But my 2 favourite ones, I think, my 2 favourite ones, I would say, is this one. I've got a fan of 5 cards over here, an ace of clubs, a 2 of hearts, jack of spades, 5 of diamonds, 3 of clubs. That's for a multiple card find. So I have 5 people pick cards, I find the 5 cards, and I show that I've predicted them with a tattoo on my arm, which is one of my favourite tricks. I love multiple selection at the best of times, but having that as a kicker is great. But also it reminds me of my kids because the 5 cards I picked are actually the dates of births of my kids. So Ryland was born on the 12th of November, ace 2, jack for 11, and Thea was born on the 5th of March, 5 and 3. So there's that one, and then this one, the Rubik's Cube, which is the Brundage mix. So it's the Brundage mix by Stephen Brundwich, that the Cube 3 mix that I talk about in Cube 52. And that was the first tattoo I ever got. And I got it because I was so passionate about doing this cube trick. I wanted to have someone mix up a cube and show that I'd actually predicted the cube on my arm. And the reactions were so great, I then got obsessed with tattoos, and I perform this all of the time still. Also, as a bonus number 3, I love that I've got a Your Card gag on my arm. I just love that. You know, I force the Queen of Hearts, normally psychologically, and I say, hey, if I've got Your Card tattooed on my arm, would that be good? And they go, yeah. And I go, look, Your Card. And they laugh and groan. And I say, look, there's a little red arrow there, and it points to this, the Queen of Hearts. And the reason I put the Queen of Hearts there is because I can perform and do a set, and nobody will ever see that part of my arm unless I bring my arm up like that. So I can do any routine I want to, and they're not going to see my reveal of my Queen of Hearts for the Your Card gag. So I don't regret any of them, but those are the 3 that I think are my favourite. Okay, so the next question is definitely not a bat. Okay, good to know. Thanks for answering my questions. Got another one for you. I'm a hobbyist in Eastern Europe, and there really are almost no magic shows anywhere. I can't name 10 professional magicians in my country. No competitions, clubs are dead after 5 or 6 meetings. Can you tell us a little bit about what the state of magic is over there in the UK? Like, how sought after are magicians? What is the reality of things? Magic's really popular in the UK. Very, very popular. A lot of full-time professional magicians, a lot of semi-pros. It's fairly easy to get restaurant work. You can, you know, if you spend a week approaching restaurants, you're going to get gigs. Weddings are very popular. It's now got to a point in the UK where having a magician is kind of almost like a standard thing. It's like, right, what do we need? The venue, we need the dress, we need a magician. Corporates book a lot of stuff as well. Competitions, there's lots of competitions, there's lots of conventions. Like, we've just had the Leeds Magic Jam. In a couple of weeks' time, we've got the South Tyneside Convention, then we've got the London Magic Convention, then we've got Blackpool Session, then we've got the Blackpool Magic Convention. Like, there's tons, there's absolutely metric tons of stuff going on. Magic shops, less so, with Davenport shutting down and Prop Dog shutting down. The only magic shop now in the UK, sorry, not in the UK, but in London, in the capital city, is International Magic. But lots of people are getting into magic. The magic circle is very vibrant. The Young Magicians Club is very vibrant. Marvin's Magic does a fantastic job of getting kids into magic. You know, you go into places like Hamleys in central London and you look at those guys demonstrating it. They've always got a big crowd of people around them. Lots of magic shows. You know, we've just got Unbelievable in the in central London, but there's lots of magic shows going on all of the time. Lots of people touring the UK with magic shows. You know, Britain's Got Talent is a big advert for magicians in the UK. I don't think there's any specific magic TV shows at the moment. I believe Dynamo's got one coming up soon, but there's always magic shows on every couple of years. So yeah, I think it's in a really good place. I think it's in a really, really good place. Clubs are, I don't want to say dying, but I don't think they get new people into the clubs. I don't think younger people are incentivized to join the clubs. And so it's a lot of older people, which is a bit of an issue. But outside of that, I think magic's doing really well. Probably better now in the UK than it has done in a long time. Okay, so the next question is from Anthony Povey, who says, hi Craig, are you part of the DeepX project by Paul Harris? If so, can you give any info on it? I'm not really part of the DeepX project. Paul called me in to help, and I did what I could, but I was so busy with Ryland on America's Got Talent and a bunch of other stuff going on that I didn't have the time to do everything that he needed me to do. And also, there were issues with filming and everything, and issues with stuff being filmed and so on and so forth. So I didn't, which is no fault of Paul's. So I didn't, I'm part of the project, and I'm very proud of being part of the project, but I'm not like the main part of the project. That's Paul Knight and Paul Harris. What I can tell you about DeepX is it is absolutely, and take this for what it's worth, because obviously I am a little biased being part of the project, but DeepX is, in my opinion, the best version of the Deep Astonishment, Clear Astonishment plot. It really is. The wallet that you get with it, because you get a special wallet, makes everything self-working. And for the first time ever, because of some really genius thinking by Paul, you're in a situation where you don't necessarily, normally with the big problem I've had with Deep Clear in the past, or Deep Astonishment, or any version, is that you're having to spread the cards with the backs towards you, the faces towards the audience, to take particular cards out, and there's no reason for you to do that. But with this, that's not the case at all, like at all, which means that your angles are better, everything is more justified. It's just a better routine. I can't see how they can improve on this. I think that this is going to be the final word in the Deep Astonishment plot, and I think both Pauls have done a really good job on it. So yeah, it's coming out soon, and I think you guys will like it. So the next question is from Navo Canavo, who says, "Hi Craig, could you give us some advice on creating a magic app? I have a very great idea based on something I've never seen in magic before. I'm not quite willing to reveal it here, but I just know nothing about making apps. Thank you." No, because I've never released an app. What I can tell you is to watch 2 videos on Magic TV, both interviews, one with Mark Kirstein, one with Joshua Riley. Realistically, there's 2 ways to develop an app. If you don't know anything about apps, there's 2 ways to develop an app. The first way is to go to a company, pitch your idea to them, and then they will develop it for you, and you will get royalty payments, or they'll pay you a buyout, or whatever the case may be. If you know nothing about it and you don't have any money to sink into this, that might be the way to go. Murphy's are a good shout. They have now a track record of the last couple of years of doing good apps. You might want to speak to Greg Rostami. I know that Mark Kirstein will work with certain individuals if he likes the idea about the app. Joshua Riley is somebody else as well. So that's the first option. The second option is you develop it yourself. You hire a developer, and you and the developer develop this app together. Now that is going to involve money. The reason something like Enigma is so expensive is because of the amount of money that it costs to develop an app. It's not cheap. And then you're going to have ongoing costs to keep that thing updated, because if you don't keep it updated, it will stop working, right? So there are costs involved, which if you went with a company, they would be incurred by the company. If you're doing it yourself, those costs are going to become your burden. So you're going to be paying a lot of money to the developer for research and development, unless you can go into it as a partnership deal with the developer, in which case that's a thing that you would need to speak to them about. But if you're going to do it yourself, you are going to need money in order to hire a developer, and even then there's no guarantee this app will work. I know some people that have had an idea for an app and it's never seen the light of day because it just wasn't possible to do what they wanted to do. So my advice would be to go to a company somewhere like Penguin Magic. They've started doing apps. Somewhere like Murphy's, they've started doing apps. That would probably be your best shout, first of all. Okay, so the next question is from Betha Magician 5114, who says, "Hi Craig, loving the videos as always. My question is, what camera do you use, and also what editing software are you on?" We use Final Cut Pro for the editing. Cameras I know nothing about. They are big and pointy. Some of the stuff that we use is iPhones, iPhone 14s or iPhone 15s, or iPhone 15 soon anyway, but iPhone 14s, which are great. We use Rode mics a lot of the time, or external mics that are plugged into the iPhones, but sometimes we use cameras as well. Whenever you see me here, this is my house. This is actually part of my man cave at the bottom of my garden. I've got the bar over there, pool table, TV, and this is a great place to film. And I've got a little, I've got umbrella lights over there, and I've got an external mic, but I'm filming on an iPhone 14. So when you see me here, I normally film here if I'm too busy to go into the office, and I'll just use an iPhone because all the equipment's in the office. But the editing software I use is Final Cut Pro. Okay, we got another question from Sean McNulty Magician, who says, "I recently purchased Try Sandwich. Is there a way of doing the first phase without a table?" Yes, absolutely. 100%. I've worked a way out, but I can't do it here because I've not got Try Sandwich with me. But I'll put together something on a video in the next couple of weeks, and I'll show you my handling. And maybe I'll do a Magic Live, because if you know Try Sandwich, if I just do it as a Magic Live and I don't use the table, you'll figure out exactly what I'm doing. So I'll get to that in the next week or two, okay? Okay, so we've got another question from an Andy Putt who says, I'm happy you'll make a video about how to make a magic competition act. I'm in the middle of researching into that at the moment. I'm busy with making a competition act where I need a black light. Can you also talk about technical possibilities of staging in that video? Yes, when I talk about competition acts, I will absolutely include everything about staging. I'll include everything about lighting. I'll include everything about music. Absolutely everything will go into that video, 100%. We've got another question from, it's not a question. Okay, I'll read it anyway. We've got another thing from Andy Putt, number 4, who says, not a question, but a message. I bought Cube 52, and for me, it's going to be the trick of the year till now. You helped people get into cube magic with this project, helped card magicians use a new prop in their acts and routines, and erased the borders of card and cube magic and made it way more accessible. People who do card magic and no cube magic can buy Cube 52. People who do both can buy Cube 52, and people who only do cube magic can buy Cube 52. You've brought out a lot of good tricks and a lot of amazing tricks like Keymaster, but I think this is the best one yet. I think this is one of the biggest contributions to the worlds of magic in years, and I want to thank you for that. Keep up the good work. Thanks very much. Wow, blown away. I really appreciate that. That reading stuff like that makes it all worthwhile, because sometimes I doubt myself. It's not nice reading stuff online, and recently there's been a lot of stuff. So, it's been I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, so the next question is Handstand221. Firstly, I enjoy your channel and learned so much from it. Thank you. Starting in February, when I received ED I developed a trick using your binary system. I contacted Murphy's in February, and they told me they needed your approval to go ahead with the project. I've sent you all the information about the project, and again contacted Kathy at Murphy's, and she said she'd send you my information and you would contact me. I know you've been super busy the last several months, but I'd appreciate you contacting me sometime in the near future. It'll be a thrill for me to attach to a product that Craig Petty's put out. I haven't seen the message. I'm really sorry. Email me again, craig@magictv.org. I have been very busy the last few months, and I'll look out for it. If I can help you in any way, I will. One thing is, it's not my binary system. It's not my binary principle. It's the binary principle. It's been around since time began. All I did is I just applied it to a trick. And in actual fact, I have another trick coming out with it at some point in the next couple of years. But I just applied it to a trick. So you are more than welcome to use the binary principle. You don't need my blessing for that. But if you want me to help you with your idea and look over stuff, I'd be more than happy to. Send it over to me. I hope you don't think I ignored you. That's absolutely not the case. AGT took up pretty much all of my time. But yeah, send it over. Craig@magictv.org. So there you go, guys. That's another Q&A in the bag. Good one this week, so thank you once again for joining me. Now, don't forget, you want to see more videos like this? Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. Also, you want to join the Netrix, just go to www.thenetrix.com. Go check it out, see what all the fuss is about. If you want to see what one of the virtual Magic Club meetings are like, on Thursday, I put up a full virtual Magic Club meeting, so you can see what we get up to when we chat online every week on the Netrix. But yeah, thank you once again for joining me. I really appreciate it. Don't forget, I've got a review show coming up this evening at 9 o'clock, so look out for that. I'll see you again soon. My name's Craig from Magic TV.